Welcome to Sound Up with me, Mark Goodman.
And me, Alan Light.
Each week, we do 2 episodes, both featuring the latest music news, big interviews, and quite a bit more. On the Tuesday episodes, we also feature our new music picks of the week, which you can hear on our Sound Up Spotify soundtrack playlist.
Then our Friday episode is dedicated to you, our audience. We read your emails, play your voice messages, and welcome you to our live podcast taping to be part of the conversation as part of the Sound Up Pod Squad.
To stay on top of all things Sound Up related, go to our website at sounduppod.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at SoundUpPod. All right, let's start today's podcast, shall we?
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Well, all right. I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light, and welcome to yet another edition of Sound Up.
On today's podcast, Bob Crawford, bassist for the Avett Brothers, joins us.
We also have the latest music news and our new music picks of the week.
But before we get to all of that, add to the latest in music news a few podcast housekeeping items sweeping up here and there. We are planning our next mailbag episode, which is where you, the audience, can ask us anything. Questions about MTV, questions about places that we have worked before, artists, books we have written, articles we have written, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, literally anything.
Send those questions via email or audio message to connect@sounduppod.com. And also, we want to remind you, beloved audience, the Sound Up Pod Squad, that April is International Guitar Month. Hit us up via email or on socials and let us know who's your favorite guitarist. Do you have a guitar? Take a photo, send it to us. Does it have an interesting backstory behind it? Have you met one of your guitar heroes? Any other photos you want to share? Send all of that to connect@sounduppod.com. We'll post them to the site. Plus, we may have a guitarist or two join us during the month, including very soon the legendary Pete Townsend of the legendary Who, kicking us off into International Guitar Month.
I can't think of anyone who has treated a guitar worse than Pete Townsend.
It really is true.
It'll be great to have on. Lastly, as you know, when we go to shows, we give you our concert reviews. The thing is, we want yours too. If you see a show and you love it, or if you don't like it so much, you can tell us about it. Send us an audio message of your review, 2 minutes max, please. This is all because we want you to be as much a part of this show as we are and our guests. So we want you to reach out. You got it? All right.
Do it.
Let's get to some news.
Continuing her historic run, Beyonce becomes the first Black woman to hit #1 on the country album charts with Cowboy Carter. #1 album, her 8th on the Billboard 200, and -- dethroning Morgan Wallen. We're going to talk about Morgan Wallen later, clown, to take the country clown. He's the country clown, but it took the country crown this week with more than 407,000 album units earned in the US, by far the biggest album debut of 2024, plus an additional 168,000 traditional album sales. Her biggest opening debut since Lemonade in 2016. Several Black artists over the years have topped the country albums chart. Charlie Pride, of course, Darius Rucker, Kane Brown, but no Black woman had ever achieved the feat. Now, what I don't know, and we would go back to our friend Chris Melanphy, we talked about how the country singles chart works.
Exactly.
That whatever is the biggest country designated song on the overall charts.
Yeah. People are sort of poo-pooing this #1.
Because it could be, as we noted, as Chris prophetically noted, not surprisingly, once it was designated the singles, once Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages were designated country songs, even if no country station played them anywhere, if they were the biggest country songs on the chart, they were going to be the biggest on the country chart. The album charts presumably have to work the same way. So again, how this is a measurement of the country success of this album is still a deceptive thing to the extent that we care about any of that.
What the radio folks are saying is that country radio is not playing that song all that much, and that most country audiences probably have not even heard the song.
Texas Hold'em got up to number 33 on the country airplay chart. And as of this chart, as of this Sunday, her version of Jolene was at number 56 on the chart. So
and
they're getting
pissing people off too. That's another thing.
Played some,
yeah.
But again, it's all about what the designation for the project is, where it would have gotten racked in the old days,
right?
Then determining how the chart numbers fall.
And not to minimize the achievement. You know, we don't mean to minimize the achievement. But the reality of what that means is what we're trying to talk about.
It was the most streamed album in a single day in 2024 on Spotify. The only women with more number one albums there are three of them. Want to guess?
Madonna.
The only women with more number ones are Taylor Swift, Barbra Streisand, and Madonna.
And Madonna. There you go. All right. Elsewhere, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Kiss have sold their music catalog, their name, image, and likeness, including the makeup designs, to Pop House Entertainment. It is a Sweden-based music investment firm. Oh boy. They are behind ABBA's Voyage hologram show, which I got to say, I've heard great things about.
Huge triumph. Huge success.
While terms of the deal were not officially announced, Bloomberg and Associated Press are saying that it's worth upwards of $300 million. Pop House plans to promote the group's iconic music, enigmatic personas, and expressive imagery for generations to come. It's the new Menudo.
So, yeah, Roger Coletti.
Yes.
I sent you this news as soon as it came across as the Kiss fan. Mm-hmm. Are you surprised that they did sell, that they did one of these deals? And does it change the way that you think about the Kiss brand project moving into the future?
No, I don't think it changes it at all. And I knew this was in the works for a while. You know, at that final show, they did announce the hologram, that's how they were going to be continuing.
Didn't Gene say it's the beginning of a new era?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
They launched the avatars, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, them going with the company that did ABBA is not shocking at all. And I think this is a good thing for the brand. I mean, you know, a lot of artists have sold their music and likeness, but talk about a band whose imagery is so iconic. The things you can do with them, aside from licensing music, are really endless. And I think really Kiss themselves have taken it as far as they can. So it'll be interesting to see what another company can do with the brand, with the characters, with the music, and the imagery.
When you put it that way, that they have taken the brand, and there is not a band that I can think of that has been marketed, that have marketed themselves better than that band. Kiss pinball machines, the usual stuff, t-shirts, that's nothing.
Coffins, baby.
That was the big one. And damn it, they sold a bunch.
So it's interesting, there are not that many. I mean, there's so many of these deals around the super iconic bands and artists have been done already. There's a couple of prizes. Everybody's looking. The Queen catalog is really the one that's still hanging out there. There's been speculation that it was going to be the first $1 billion with a $1 billion deal. There's been enough of a downturn in the market for these that I wonder if they're going to see that number. But that one is hanging out there. Pink Floyd is still hanging out there. But of course, Roger Waters has made that complicated because is it just too toxic to risk putting that kind of money when he might say something that nobody wants to go near them in the future? And that's the end of that. Zeppelin is still out there, but Zeppelin, since there are family members who are interested, since there is Jason Bonham out there, that's a lot of the question is people want to offload these rather than dump them on the kids to deal with. But if the estate is interested, that's a different circumstance. Right. There are not many left. So Kiss was certainly one of the prizes that was still out there. And of course, some of these deals are just publishing deals just for the music catalog. Some of them are these kinds of... This
is a complete deal. Yeah.
Really what you're buying, that's if it's $300 million, I won't say $299 million is for the likeness, but the bulk of it is really about having that.
And I'm curious because they don't elaborate in what I have read. They have sold that. They've sold all of that stuff, but they may still maintain some control over how it gets used.
Yeah. You don't just totally hand over the keys and say, we have no say in this.
Right. And I think, Roger, correct me, I think Gene is the marketing guy. I mean, he has always been, I think, the guy who's thinking about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the balance in Kiss has always been Paul kind of is the guy you go to for the music sensibility of the band, and Gene is the guy you go to for the brand sensibility of the band.
So what else?
Very quickly, no, not a lot of information, but something we were expecting to hear soon. Billie Eilish just announced her third studio album titled Hit Me Hard and Soft. Album coming out next month, May 17th. A small statement is all, a diverse yet cohesive collection of songs, ideally listened to in its entirety from beginning to end.
Ha!
Written by Billie Eilish and Phineas, her brother and longtime collaborator, who also produced the album. So that's the most interesting thing, is saying it's a, ideally
Listen all the way
conceived as
through.
a through listening experience.
Is she saying this is a concept album?
No, I think she's specifically backing away from it being a concept album. She's saying it should be listened to all the way through. And by the way, I know we're going to be talking with Bob Crawford later. They're talking about this. Their album that's coming out is not a concept album, but an album that they imagine to be listened to all the way through. I mean, I feel like our artists trying to combat this wave of people not listening to albums anymore.
Well, or, it's a statement. You have to have a reason and indicate, oh, by the way, this is an album you should actually listen to. The release says Hit Me Hard and Soft journeys through a vast and expansive audio landscape, immersing listeners into a full spectrum of emotions.
Okay, I'll take that. I would say I'd listen to all of her albums all the way through for that.
But it is interesting, the designation of, no, this is
Right.
an album. That's a thing you need to indicate.
Which is so odd when they release singles.
I was just going to say, come on, let's step up. No singles.
Right.
Let's see how gutsy you are. It is pretty exciting though that she's got a new album coming out.
I mean, she had said, when she was doing the awards circuit for the Barbie song, saying at some point, she said, yeah, the next one's done. Then the next one's mastered. Like, we knew it was happening sooner rather than later. And I can't wait to hear it.
We may be hearing something from the Spice Girls. I'd say a lot of people right now listening have daughters who love the Spice Girls, or maybe you love the Spice Girls. Friendship never ends, but somehow Melanie B keeps on getting kicked out of their group chat.
I want in on that group chat.
So want to be just something on the wall in one of their rooms. She has talked about how difficult it is for her to contain her excitement about the 30th anniversary of their formation. They talked in this UK newspaper about her getting kicked out of the WhatsApp group. And she says, yeah, that always happens to me because I say things. I get so excited when it comes to Spice Girls because it's 30 years. We've got to celebrate the fact that we're all still healthy, living life, and talking still, mostly. Talking. She tried to remain sort of tight-lipped about the details of the reunion, and I didn't think that they were all in on the reunion. Maybe that's why she's tight-lipped. But she did go on to say that her memories of the Spice Girls performances, while blurry at points, will never be forgotten. Thinking back to all that stuff, she says, I mean, I've got diaries where like Emma has written in it, Mel C, nobody's ever going to see it, by the way. Don't tell us about it. But fingers crossed that maybe finally the Spice Girls will resolve whatever differences they had going on and get back together. It seemed like, I think Victoria was not into the reunion at last count, I believe.
Well, it was Posh who was resisting. She's got other things to do.
Right.
She's got the Beckham business to oversee.
So we are still waiting. The remaining members unofficially did go their separate ways in 2000, though they reunited for 2007-8, the return of the Spice Girls. And the Spice World 2019 tour, that was the one that Posh backed out of, Victoria backed out of, and may continue to remain on the sidelines. They're probably trying to rev her up now to get this thing to be a complete reunion, which would be cool for 30th. Gotta say, right?
Could be fun for Vegas. Could be fun for the Sphere. Could do a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good idea. The Sphere. That'd be amazing. I hope they know about it.
Wrap the whole thing in the Union Jack and
perfect.
Be done with it.
I'll make a call.
Okay. Mark, I mentioned Morgan Wallen before. He came up in the Beyonce story, but that's not the only place he came up in the last few days.
Where else, Alan?
What do you care to let us know about the latest Morgan Wallen escapade?
Morgan Wallen was arrested and jailed on Sunday night in Nashville after the chart-topping country singer allegedly hurled a chair off the 6-story roof of a popular bar on the city's bustling Broadway street. Not good. Billboard received a statement from Morgan Wallen's attorney, Warwick Robinson, confirming the arrest. At 10:53 Sunday evening, Morgan was arrested in downtown Nashville for reckless endangerment and disorderly conduct. He's cooperating fully with authorities, and of course he would. He is 30 years old and has been released from jail. The arrest warrant revealed that Wallen was on the 6-story roof of Eric Church's Chief's Bar and Grill on Sunday night. Witnesses said he picked up a chair and threw it over the roof. Why? 2 Metro Nashville Police Department officers were reportedly standing below on Broadway when the affidavit said the chair landed 3 feet from them. Officers reportedly spoke with bar staff and witnesses and reviewed the security footage and confirmed, yep, it was Morgan. He was the man. The incident took place during the opening weekend of Church's Bar. So I'm sure Eric is thrilled with the press.
I just feel bad. You guys know I'm a big fan
He's
of Eric
great.
Church. I've done a lot of work with Eric Church. He's put a lot of work into this. He's like, didn't want to just open a regular old bar. You know, he's opening with this residency where he's doing these very intimate shows and like really wanted it to be a thoughtful, I'm going to do something different. And now it's going to be known as, oh, that's the place Morgan Wallen threw a chair off the roof.
They should, maybe they should lean in and like put a chair out front, like where the chair hit on the sidewalk.
do like the body,
like an outline.
You make it a thing. And all the chairs are Nerf, and you could throw them off whenever you want.
Oh, there's another great idea. Promos, Eric. You got to lean into this.
Something tells me it's going to be standing only from now on the roof.
Right.
Not for nothing. The Eric Church Morgan Wallen duet, "Man Makes a Bar," is #1 on country airplay this week.
Well,
a little too on the nose.
How did that happen? I wonder.
That's where
a lot of support. Okay, so Morgan
what a
added something on.
Not only does he throw a chair off a rooftop, but he almost hits 2 cops.
Who knows who he would have hit? That's
right. He sure as hell knows on Broadway, and we all know what Broadway is. It's like the busiest street. It's the center of Nashville. It's insane. Way to go, Morgan.
Way to go, Morgan Wallen. Once again, just when you start to forget about the last stupid thing that guy did, he gives you a new stupid thing.
All right.
So, anyway, we've been talking in recent weeks about the explosion of all these music biopics. Every week we've been getting a new announcement, whether it's the Anthony Kiedis biopic, the Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan, which is shooting right now, the announcement of the Michael Jackson biopic. Like, they're coming fast and furious, but I was not ready for this one. I was not ready for the announcement. The Altit Media Group has announced plans to make a biopic titled All Out of Love, the Air Supply Story, to be released in summer 2025 to celebrate Air Supply's 50th anniversary. According to the producers, the film will explore the highs and lows of the band's career and their rise to international fame.
I'm not dissing these guys anymore. Sebastian Bach loves them. I saw Sebastian Bach sing with Air Supply, and Air Supply loved Sebastian Bach singing with them.
That's fine. That's fine. You know better than I do. You were just on the boat with them. Air Supply story going to sustain a feature-length movie treatment?
Well, let me say this. Before the cruise, I would have said, no way. After the cruise, I say absolutely. These guys, both shows, they do. Every band does 2 shows, packed. And everyone that I spoke to beforehand, so it was like, oh God, Air Supply. I love Air Supply. Everyone I spoke to. I think this movie's going to do great.
There's a story?
Of course there's a story.
There's something to
There's always a story. They're 2 guys who met in high school and they were playing gigs around the bars and they wrote their first song. Of course there's a story. And if you love the music, then you're in, right?
I got nothing on the backstory narrative of following the Air Supply.
How they conquered the tyranny of distance, what musicians call in Australia call being a musician in Australia. So
Now, the AC/DC biopic, I'd go see.
Absolutely.
You got deaths, you got arrests, you got murder, you got all kind of stuff going on.
There may be some, I don't know, some love affairs or something. Like maybe they did coke one night. I don't know. Hopefully something.
Does not, this onslaught of these, I mean, we've moved out of the documentary stage and into the feature treatment stage. And it's going further and further afield. Count it down, summer 2025. Buy your Fandango tickets ahead or whatever.
Fair enough. We'll be counting the days until 2025. We do have a couple of artists passing, sadly, to announce. CJ Snare, who was the founding singer of the long-running hair metal band Firehouse, has passed, 64 years old. They, you may know them from Love of a Lifetime. When I Look Into Your Eyes is the one that I remember most. Today is a sad day for rock and roll, it said on social media. Surviving members in the band wrote, "It's with great sorrow we're letting the world know we've lost our brother CJ Snare, the rock and roll warrior, lead vocalist, and a founding member of Firehouse." CJ Snare passed unexpectedly at home Friday night. He was 64 years old, and as always, no cause of death provided, but Snare's death came 6 months after he revealed that he would undergo abdominal surgery. The band initially postponed their gigs, but recruited a fill-in while he recovered. Just a week ago, in fact, Snare hinted that he would soon return to the stage. He said on socials, "Feeling stronger every day. I'll be back on stage with Firehouse before you know it. Health is first, so making a full recovery before return." What are you going to say? As you are all aware, CJ was expected to be back on stage with the band this summer after recovering from surgery. This is a part of the Firehouse statement. "We are all in complete shock with CJ's untimely passing. CJ was arguably one of the best vocal talents in a generation, touring the world with Firehouse nonstop for the past 34 years. So another one bites the dust, sadly.
And then additional sadness.
Yeah. In addition, Michael Ward has passed. Geez, I don't know what it is. It feels, these last couple of months have felt pretty deadly. Michael was the guitarist for the Wallflowers from 95 to 2001. He passed at just 57 years old. His sister, Tracy Ward Hartfield, announced his death on her Facebook page on Tuesday morning. "Michael Ward has left this plane," she said. "It's with tremendous sorrow that I let you know complications from diabetes took his life last night. Obviously, we're all in shock and overcome with grief. This is all I can handle writing right now. Please tell the people you love just how much they mean to you."
We've talked so much about all of the, 60s generation rockers hitting their 80s and losing some of them and bracing for the loss of more of them. That's different than losing guys in their 60s and 50s in this case. So terrible.
It is. So on that note, let's wrap things up and start to cheer ourselves up. We got the news out of the way. We do want your comments, your questions, your suggestions on things, concert reviews, topic ideas. The place to reach us, connect@sounduppod.com. It's simple, it's easy. Reach out. We are here waiting to hear from you. Up next, we'll be joined by Bob Crawford from the Avett Brothers. Talk about their new album.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
All right, as promised, a friend joining us, Bob Crawford of the Avett Brothers, who was our guest frequently back in the day on the Volume channel when we were doing our old radio show, and Bob, of course, part of the Avett Brothers, who have an amazing new album coming out May 17th. It is self-titled, but we're gonna get into the self-titling issue and what that actually means for these guys. Bob Crawford, great to see you again. Welcome.
Gentlemen, it is always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
This is a hell of a long time between albums for you guys. I know you were doing some things. Mm-hmm. We were listening. I was even on one of your things
That's
that
right,
you were doing.
Yes.
But is that why it's so long that you guys were sort of out doing other things? You, when I say you, I mean the band, seems incredibly prolific. I mean, there's times when you put out an album a year.
There was, yeah. Those were the days. Well, Mark, we went in to start this record the week the pandemic 4 years ago recently.
Oh boy.
The week everything shut down, we were booked and scheduled to fly to Malibu, to go to Shangri-La, to work on a record with Rick Rubin.
Right.
And then that turned into, because then we were like, what if we get stuck? Remember, just try to put yourself 4 years ago in your mindset. What if we get stuck? It's so crazy to think about it now. Then it was, can we fly the engineer to North Carolina?
Yeah, let's put him on the plane.
Let's just put him. Let's let him
figure
get
it
stuck.
out.
Let's let him get stuck, right? And that quickly became a no. And then it was, can we do something here in North Carolina in a studio? That became a no. Can we do something at a home studio with me going to meet Scott and Seth, which became a no. Then the earliest recordings, and I don't know how many of them actually wound up on this, but it was Scott and Seth recording virtually with the engineer in California. An engineer coming to me at this, I'm going to show you this, and I don't know if for the people that can't see it, that's a door of my home office to the outside. There's a little porch out there, and I had an engineer come here and sit on the porch and ran cables into the house and built, a furniture blanket, sound booth, and recorded bass and vocals.
It's like
here.
You're recording in your dorm room.
Yes.
In my dorm room, right? Yes. Why don't we record License to Ill again, right? So that was where this all began, and that I think is a lot of the reason why this is 5 years between records, because Scott and Seth are damn prolific.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about this, whenever we stop, for whatever reason we stop, that music is going to keep coming. Unless there's a dump at some point. But there is enough in the archives to last us easily a decade.
So this is an absurd question, but you were so close to starting. Was there a target? Was there a goal for what that album was going to be? And how did that transform over all of this time and all of these configurations?
There's never a goal at the outset. This is both how Scott and Seth work. This is how Rick works with us. I don't know if Rick works differently with other people, but I only know our experience.
Sure.
And it's, we're just going to see where this goes. When working on a song, when we are in Malibu with Rick, we'll try it one way. And often these songs are demoed and then sent to Rick. And then there's a discussion about the songs. And then we go in and then we start trying them. And it's like, hey, here's an idea. Well, we need to try it to see if it's viable. It could be a completely stupid idea. Or it could be it's just not practical, but we need to try it. So these things don't often have a deadline. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is there's never been a deadline of any sort for anything. And in fact, this is the first time we've ever, speaking of deadlines, we've ever had it lined up where the record comes out at the beginning of the touring year.
the way that it's actually supposed to work.
Exactly. There's always a thing. It's always like, hey, Scott and Seth are like, hey, I want this kind of card stock. I want this certain card stock for the vinyl. Yeah, no, guys, they can't get it to us till July. So then the record doesn't come out until July. When I Am Loving You came out, this was our first major label record with Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. This is a big deal in every way for us. It comes out like the end of September. We finish touring in the middle of October. It's just, this is how we've always done. I guess because we had 5 years to do it, the record comes out May 17th. I think the touring starts May 17th. So that's a good thing.
I mentioned in the intro that it's a self-titled album. That could mean that there's no title. When a self-titled album is the Avett Brothers, they make a point in the press release, about saying it's not self-titled. Can you explain what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He looks skeptical about explaining.
Totally.
All of that. We've never done that. That's never been done. But there's more. It's like, this is an expression of just a very, the whole Avett Brothers thing for the past 20 some years has been to be genuine, right? to be as real and as possible. And over the decades, that's meant everything from the way the songs are written, to the way they're produced, to the way we don't do a lot of things. We say no a lot, very kindly. We say no a lot, but we, over the years, we just haven't done a lot of things compared to other bands. We've toured on our own. We've worked hard to get that family work balance and to tour on, and you can't really do it, but we've tried to tour on our own terms, on our own schedule. And so everything from the songs and what they mean and represent to us, and hopefully to, others, which others are going to get their own perception, that's how music is. That's why music's so beautiful. I think it's just another way of being ourselves and just being real.
I want to ask about this relationship you mentioned, this relationship with Rick Rubin, that's an ongoing thing, because I feel like there's a lot of acts who go to him and sort of do that once to get the Rick experience and see what the magic is that he does. And then there are a few bands that go back, obviously his relationship with the Chili Peppers that's gone on for years and years, and you working multiple projects with you. Once you sort of see what that is, whatever it is, the sort of Zen master Rick Rubin treatment, does that evolve when you go do it again and do it again? What do you get from returning to him, and how does that dynamic sort of continue to, spark you creatively?
Scott and Seth were always hesitant to work with anybody. And if they could, we could have gotten away with not doing a major label, we probably wouldn't have, because by the time we had signed, and I think it was Columbia at the time, it was Rick that we signed to. We signed to be with Rick. He was the carrot, if you will, on the stick that brought us to, because we had already been around for almost a decade, and we were filling certain sized rooms. We just had a kind of off that we weren't. Some bands signed to a label and then the label cultivates their growth, and we had kind of already established kind of who we were, and it was very appealing to work with Rick, and that's why we signed at the time. And I think when we first met with Rick, there was this connection between Rick and Scott and Seth as far as creativity and why create and how to create. And it's always been this really relaxed relationship, just really relaxing. And I think that there's something Rick really digs about working with us as a band, just on a personal level. Mm-hmm. I just sense that.
He can choose to not take the gig. I mean, he's
exactly.
busy enough.
Right.
And Scott and Seth are really open. He wants us to be us.
Right. Probably a lot of people who are listening right now have seen that Petty documentary with him working with Tom Petty, and the doc on him, and
the McCartney thing.
The McCartney thing. So can you be specific, like pick a moment that is sort of a quintessential Rick Rubin moment? Because Alan called him the Zen master, and I can't even quite grasp what he does with artists. What does he do?
I think based on, what I've gathered, he is different with every artist, meaning, and I think this goes to him saying he wants us to be us.
Yeah.
So I think he probably vibes with us differently than he vibed with, Tom Petty or other groups. But my recollections from Closer Than Together, which was like the last album that we were in Malibu recording with him in person, he would be in the, I imagine him like the manager, the baseball manager.
Yeah.
So here we are, we're playing the song, live band, full band, running it down. And then he's in the booth dancing, jamming. And then he comes in and he'll be, he'll say to me, think of Lady Madonna, think of like for bass references, like, hey, think of this when you're doing this. And other people, other ideas, real quick ideas. And then he's back in the booth and we run it again. But I don't want anyone to get the sense that there's no hierarchy. With Rick, in our experience, it's he's a member of the band.
Yeah. It feels to me like, and I could be dead wrong here, but with the idea of it being a self-titled album, but not really, again, from the press, as Thomas Keating said, silence is God's first language. Everything else is poor translation.
Oh, I love it.
So having said that, what is this album about? You start off with there's this beautiful a cappella intro on side one, cut one. there are sides anymore. And things evolved. I feel like the sequencing on this was important. Where you ended was as important as where you start.
Yeah, this is just.
I know. I mean, it's a pretty broad question. Like, hey, so what's this album about? But is there a through line that you sensed in the songs that wound up being picked for this record? Let me be more specific. A spiritual through line.
Yes, there's a spiritual through line. Yes, if people sense that, yes, that there absolutely is. But I think there's always has been, right? So there's a spiritual through line when we're in our 30s. There's a spiritual. I'm 53. There's a spiritual through line when we're in our mid to late 40s and early 50s, and that spiritual sense changes as we age. Our sense of the world and what we value and what we are experiencing with letting go and reconciling ourselves to just existence in midlife. That's the best way, like without saying, there isn't, because I can't say that this is what this record's about, right? But any more than I could say, this is a collection of hymns, right? In some ways, it's a collection of hymns. But I think the Gleam 3 was a collection of hymns. Mm-hmm. And then if you think about it,
fair enough.
I think that Scott and Seth have been writing hymns for at least a decade.
Not to say that spirituality or a sense of something grander than ourselves, I agree. I understand that that's been a part of the songs with this band since day one. Something felt like, as I listened through to the whole record, and I listened a bunch of times, it's such a fantastic record, every single song. And it felt to me like somebody wanted to say, I don't know, I've been born again. Or there was a breakthrough. Something happened. There was a realization.
Renewal.
Something happened, it seems.
Yeah, I think you're not wrong. And not without saying like I'm born again in the Bob Dylan sense of those great, in my opinion, those great Bob Dylan records just because they're great records. But there is aging, coming to terms, having a better relationship with your own spirituality. Yeah. And I hope that I hope atheists can love this record just as much as someone who's a Christian or who is of a different faith.
I'll say agnostics definitely love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just trying to reveal something that we all face as we move through this life, right? These things that we inwardly face as we move through this life. And I don't think there's a finger pointing at anybody about anything.
You mentioned aging and you mentioned Bob Dylan, but you guys are going out to do some of these dates on this Outlaw Festival tour.
We're not. Believe me, like we've done this the past 10 years, we've done the Outlaw Festival. And it is the greatest thing that we do. Like as me as a person, and I think some of the other guys agree, like, wow, like the fact that we've spent so many years like 10 days on the road with Willie Nelson and his band and the group of people who put those shows on and all the great bands that come along. It is a thing that I will long remember for the rest of my life. I love it. Look, I'm leaving tomorrow and I got a bag. I'm in the midst of doing that packing thing.
Yes.
Just to go for 5 days. And it is, man, talk about spirituality. It is just psychologically. But Alan, to be on that tour with Dylan and Willie Nelson, I mean, could you imagine? Again, just the nights that we've sat side stage watching Willie set every night, just taking it in. Like if you say, well, Bob, where do you see this thing going? Oh, I wanted to go there. I want to be 90 years old on that stage. And there's no more jumping around. The songs are enough. And we're just doing it because it is... Guys, I tell everybody, go see Willie if you can. You just got to go because he's just incredible. And I think it's his love for music and the fact that it is such a part of him is why he can still do it at the level he does it.
He's an icon, and just
Dylan as well.
Dylan as well, for sure. And to look to people like that, as you talking about, this is dealing with, among other things, aging, a big thing that a big chunk of the population is going through right now. The latest video from you guys, and then we're going to let you go. The latest video for Country Kid.
Speaking of
jumping around. So, are you a roller skater, dude?
Well, I had a friend from high school text me the other day and say, Bob, I just had no idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what do you think I've been doing for the past 41 years? No, I have not been doing that. And, I know this is going to be a shock to many of you, especially those of you that know my challenges that I deal with on a daily basis with coordination and balance. But I had a stunt double do those stunts. I know it's a shock, and I'm a little embarrassed to reveal it.
Yeah,
but I have to
you
be
guys
honest.
Can call in the special effects team.
That's cool.
And the green screen. I'm very
Yeah.
You were
impressed
up
at the production values.
We talked about this, and they were like, well, how comfortable are you on roller skates? And I was like, I'm 53 years old, and I'm not very comfortable on roller skates, nor do I want to be out for 3 months with a broken arm and not tour. I was like, why don't we do like a Blades of Glory and just make it outrageous? Just make it the most outrageous and obvious thing. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's true that those fancy foot moves, we don't see the top of you when that's happening, and then we don't see the bottom of you. Right.
But me rolling my eyes at Scott and Seth, that's real.
That's
I do that all the time.
The skates may not roll, but the eyes will roll.
But the eyes, man, they roll, man. They're like slot machine. Yeah.
Well, we're going to let you go. Bob Crawford, Avett Brothers, new record, self-titled or with no title or something, is out May 17th. And I think they're going to be touring. We just aren't sure of the dates yet.
Well, yeah, we'll be at, I know, Forest
Hills.
Forest Hills. I know that. And Mark, the Man Music Center there. We kick off
my hometown. That's right.
May 16th or 17th or whatever that is. So, hey, just check your local listings.
Good plan.
Always.
All right.
Bob, thank you so much as always. And
thank you so much.
We're going to see you out there on the road for sure.
I hope to see you guys.
Bob Crawford, the Avett Brothers, many thanks, Bob, for joining us. And we're going to leap right into new music. We've got just a couple of minutes left before we're going to wrap up here. While he's here, I got to say that there's only 2 songs out from the brand new Avett Brothers record. And I love both of them, but I'm going to go with Love of a Girl, which is like their End of the World as we know it, REM. It's that kind of quick, like if you can sing along with it, you have too much time on your hands kind of a song. So I'm going to go with that one, Love of a Girl from the Avetts. Rainbow Kitten Surprise featuring Kacey Musgraves. This is really, really cool. These guys are back after kind of a band shakeup. Their lead singer, Eli Mello, came out as trans about a year or so ago, and they lost some members. That song is Overtimer. And the Maria's Submarine album out May the 10th, Run Your Mouth is the tune. Exploring the intricacies of solitude and human emotion, the album delves into the delicate balance between the pain and beauty inherent in choosing solitude. So there. So it's a lighthearted record called Run Your Mouth from the Marias. And just because what was number one in my dorm room in 1971 was Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks, Where's the Money? And that album is being reissued. So I wanted to mention it. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. What do you got, Alan?
My wife, Dan Hicks and a Hot Licks fan, so I'll let you do it. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention. Mark Goodman, if you have not listened to this album, Fabiana Palladio is Pino Palladino's daughter, super powerhouse bass player Pino Palladino of fame with everybody from The Who to D'Angelo and beyond. But his daughter Fabiana, her debut album just came out on Friday. She has been releasing songs online for 13 years. She was signed 7 years ago to Jai Paul's label, the first signing. Jai Paul, who I don't understand either, who's put out like 4 songs and is a big star. So representative of that. But she put out an album, self-titled album on Friday that is so good and so up your street. A lot of like 80s, like the song I'm going to point you to is called Can You Look in the Mirror? And it's like Control era Janet Jackson. very Jam and Lewis. There's a song called Shoulda that's very Princey, but then there's really sort of elegant ballady stuff. It's really
I'm going
good.
to it after we get off here when we're done. I'm excited. Seriously.
Go to that song. I feel like it is very much your speed, and I will be very curious what you think. But for everybody, glamorous name, Fabiana Palladio. Give her a shot. I guess some following in the UK, 5-star review in The Guardian over the weekend, and I'm kind of all in on that. And then, and we'll call her an Americana artist, another one of these sort of Nashville-based, kind of a country singer, but kind of more alt-rocky than that. Woman named Katie Pruitt, who put out a great album in 2020, but has not put out any music since then, has a new album called Mantras. And I've thought about putting other songs of this. The singles have come out. She had a song called White Lies, White Jesus, and You that came out maybe 6 weeks ago that was really good. I almost made a pick. The album is out, and I'll say there's a song called Self-Sabotage. That's a lot of this album is about working through anxiety and imposter syndrome and a lot of the things that, you know, we've been hearing about from young singer-songwriters. Very strong record, really good songs. Eager to see her come through. She's here in a month or so. And Katie Pruitt is my other pick. So, Roger, you got something.
What do you got, Roger?
My pick this week is from Canadian band Kittie, who have put out their first new music in over 13 years.
The same Kittie from before?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember back in 95, they had that single Brackish, and they were like,
Yes.
they were like 14, 15 years old at the time, I think. Well, they are back. They've had a 13-year break, and the sisters, who are the mainstays of the band, Morgan Lander and Mercedes Lander, along with the other members of the band, have 2 new songs out, which I hope is leading to a new album. I haven't gotten any more info on just that these 2 new songs are out, but the song I picked is called We Are Shadows, and it is really, really interesting. It's a great heavy metal song, but it does something that I love when bands can do this. You know, you get those kind of bands who are kind of more scream than singing. They're one of those bands who are able to do both very well and mix it in one song. And We Are Shadows does that. You know, it really shows off their musicianship, the vocal ability, and the scream ability. And to get all that in a song that actually has a hook and is fun to listen to is really cool. It's a really great song.
So they're not called Cat now, right?
No, they're just Kittie. They're
still Kittie.
Yeah, they're not. They're still Kittie. You know,
had to ask. So that is our show. So go to sounduppod.com to find out how you can be a part of our live Sound Up, Sound Off show, which is just a couple of days off. We record that on Wednesday evenings, and you could be a part of it. We want you to be a part of the Sound Up Pod Squad. Connect at sounduppod.com. That's how you get us. And here are song picks on our Spotify Sound Up soundtrack playlist.
Don't forget, folks, go give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen to Sound Up on. And we will see you next, well, I don't know if we'll see you next time. We'll see some of you next time. And the rest of you will hear us next time here on Sound Up.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti, distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Get Sound Up on Pandora Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To be a part of the show, email us at connect@sounduppod.com. Sound Up theme music is by Smile from Tokyo. We'll see you next time right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.